Hey folks, Samson Wildman, Wildman's Gun Shop here. I thought we'd talk a little bit today about the 1911 and the differences between a 1911 and a 1911A1. So John Moses Browning designed the 1911 around the .45 ACP or automatic Colt pistol cartridge. So that being said, this whole gun was built around that round. So if we go shortening the frame or shortening the slide, we are going to affect the way the gun was designed to function, and we'll get more into that at a later time. But the main differences between a 1911 and a 1911A1 are going to be kind of as follows. This is a model 1911A1 U.S. Army, made by Auto Ordnance, made in the U.S. It's a good gun, but not a super expensive gun. You could probably find one used for $400 to $450, I would say, easily, and in good shape. So anyway, differences that are the most obvious: the 1911A1 has a rounded mainspring housing, whereas the 1911 had a flat mainspring housing. And I actually prefer the flat mainspring housing. It's more of an aesthetic design thing to me than it is a form or function type of thing. My hand fits just fine whether it's a curved mainspring or a flat mainspring. They also added a lanyard. That was one of the things. A lanyard loop was added because when these were first made, they were seeing action mostly. The first time they saw action was in the against Mexico, riding against Poncho Villa in like 1918. So anyway, a lot of cavalry troops carried these, and a lanyard's pretty important because if you do lose control of your firearm, at least it's not on the ground. You can pull your lanyard and wind up with your firearm back in your hand. As we move up the gun from the mainspring housing, you have your grip safety, and you can see this has an extended grip safety right there. And the reason why was when people would shoot these without the extension, the hammer would come back and bite the web of their hand, which is pretty painful, and or get caught up in cavalry soldiers' gloves. So they also enhanced the hammer, gave it a larger hammer here, you can see, to ease cocking or riding the hammer down with gloves on. They did this relief cut on the frame and also shortened the trigger on the 1911A1s. The 1911s had a much longer trigger that came way out and did not have that relief cut. So again, cavalry soldiers in gloves made it harder for them to fire and manipulate the pistol. Then they added a little bit of width to the front sight. It's already fairly minuscule sights that are on these guns, but they were just almost paper thin on the originals. And then they did not extend or lengthen the safety, they just widened it to make it easier, again, for people that had gloves on to manipulate the safety. And then the last thing, last major thing, is the grips. On a 1911A1, they look just like this. They're plain. They were like a plastic type material instead of wood on most of them. And they did away with the diamonds up top and bottom and just went for checkering all the way down. Again, it doesn't affect the grip at all. I think the diamond pattern is more popular nowadays, and it is, again, more pleasing to the eye, but it doesn't affect the form or function of the firearm. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll be happy to try to get back with you. Thanks. Have a blessed day. Bye.